You'll know when she feels she's lost you. Not because she cries, not because she chases loudly, not because she sends paragraph after paragraph begging you to stay. No, you'll know because her energy changes. There's a shift, quiet, almost invisible. But if you're paying attention, you'll feel it in your bones. When a woman realizes she no longer has emotional control over you, something inside her recalibrates. Something behind her eyes goes still. And that stillness, that's not peace. That's a woman processing a reality she didn't expect to face. She doesn't react the way you think she will. She doesn't fall apart in front of you. She adjusts, quietly, internally, in places you'll never see. And most men miss it entirely. They're waiting for the explosion, the tears, the dramatic phone call at 2 a.m. But that's not how it works. Not when she knows it's real. Not when the loss has actually landed. In this video, I'm going to explain how women behave when they know they've truly lost you. And I'm going to show you why the shift is deeper, more layered, and more psychologically complex than most men will ever understand. Let's start with something most people never talk about. Before she loses you, she tests you. That's what women do when they still care, when they're still emotionally invested, when they still believe they have influence over how you feel and what you do. She pulls back a little to see if you'll come forward. She creates small moments of tension to measure your reaction. She says something slightly provocative, not because she wants a fight, but because she wants proof. Proof that you're still locked in. Proof that she still matters enough to make you flinch. These tests are not cruelty. They're not manipulation in the way most people frame it. They're a woman's nervous system checking the connection. Checking if the emotional thread between you is still taut, still alive, still humming with energy. And here's where it gets interesting. When she knows she's lost you, the tests disappear. Read that again. The drama fades. The emotional games stop. The little provocations that used to come like clockwork just vanish. And if you're not paying attention, you might think things are getting better. You might think she's finally calming down, finally being reasonable. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is surrender. Not the beautiful kind, the resigned kind. She stopped testing you because testing requires hope. It requires the belief that your response still means something, that pulling back will make you step forward, that creating friction will make you fight for her. When she believes you're truly gone, emotionally detached, no longer reachable, there's nothing left to test. The experiment is over. The results are in. And she has quietly accepted the conclusion. This is the part most men don't understand. They think silence means peace. They think the absence of conflict means everything is fine. But in female psychology, silence after intensity is one of the most telling signs there is. It doesn't mean she's okay. It means she's made a decision, internally, without announcing it, without giving you the satisfaction of knowing the exact moment it happened. A woman who is still fighting with you is a woman who still believes there's something to fight for. A woman who has gone quiet has moved into a different emotional room, and she's closed the door behind her. Think about it this way. When she used to get upset about something small, when she used to ask where you were or why you didn't call, when she used to pick fights that seemed to come out of nowhere, that was investment. Messy, imperfect, sometimes exhausting investment, but investment all the same. Now imagine all of that just stops. No more questions, no more tension, no more emotional turbulence. That's not her growing up. That's not her finally learning to relax. That's her nervous system releasing you. And when a woman's nervous system lets go, it doesn't come back easily. Because women don't just attach with their minds, they attach with their bodies, their intuition, their sense of safety. And when that safety bond breaks, when she feels in her gut that you are no longer emotionally available, her system starts to protect her. It pulls energy inward. It builds walls you can't see. It shifts her from open to guarded in ways that don't show on the surface. She might still smile at you. She might still respond to your texts. She might still be polite and pleasant. But something underneath has changed. And once you understand what that change actually means, you'll never look at a woman's silence the same way again.
Let me explain what that silence starts to look like in her behavior. Because this is where most men get confused. When a woman knows she's lost you, she becomes unusually polite. And I need you to understand something. Politeness from a woman who once gave you her raw, unfiltered emotions is not a good sign. It's not growth. It's not maturity. It's distance wearing a pleasant mask. She becomes calm, neutral, measured in her words. She stops reacting to things that used to set her on fire. She responds instead of reacts. She speaks to you the way she would speak to a coworker, professional, appropriate, emotionally flat. And if you're not paying attention, you might even feel relieved. You might think she's finally being reasonable, finally acting like an adult. But what you're actually witnessing is a woman who is emotionally relocated. She's still standing in front of you, but she's already gone. This is what I call dignity mode. When a woman truly believes she has lost you, her ego steps in to protect her. Not her loud ego, not the ego that argues and fights and demands to be heard. Her quiet ego. The one that says, I will not let this man see me fall apart. I will not give him the satisfaction of knowing how deeply this cuts. So she straightens her posture. She softens her voice. She becomes more respectful but less connected. More composed but less present. And the warmth that used to live behind her eyes when she looked at you starts to fade. Not with anger. With acceptance. This is one of the most painful transitions in female psychology. Because she's not pretending. She's actually rearranging herself internally. She's moving you from the center of her emotional world to the edges. And she's doing it with grace because that's the only thing she has left to hold on to. Her dignity. You see, when a woman feels safe with you, she gives you her chaos, her fears, her insecurities, her unfiltered emotional truth. That's what intimacy looks like from a woman's nervous system. It's not always pretty. It's not always comfortable, but it's real. When that safety breaks, when she no longer trusts that her vulnerability will be held, she takes all of that back. She collects her emotions like scattered belongings and packs them up quietly, and what's left is a version of her that's pleasant but hollow, present but unreachable. Most men don't realize that the version of her they found difficult, the emotional one, the reactive one, the one who seemed to need too much, that was the version that loved them. And the polished, distant, agreeable version they're now dealing with is the version that has already let go. Let that sink in. Now here's where it gets complicated. Because sometimes, even after she's shifted into that distant space, she does something unexpected. She reaches back, but not the way you'd expect. Not with a big emotional confession, not with tears or long letters or dramatic gestures. No, it's subtle, almost invisible. She views your stories more often, not all of them, just enough for you to notice if you're paying attention. She sends a random message about something small, something meaningless on the surface, a song that reminded her of something. A question about a restaurant you once mentioned, a comment on something you posted. She might bring up a memory, casually, almost too casually, as if it just happened to cross her mind. But nothing about it is casual. Every word is chosen. Every message is weighed before it's sent. Because when a woman feels she's truly lost you, her fear of rejection becomes enormous. Think about that for a moment. She used to be the one with the power. She used to be the one who could pull back and watch you scramble. She used to be the one who decided the emotional temperature of the relationship. Now she's the uncertain one. And uncertainty in a woman who once felt secure with you creates a very specific kind of anxiety. It's not loud anxiety. It's the kind that sits in your chest and makes you rehearse a simple text message 15 times before pressing send. It's the kind that makes you check if he's seen it. The kind that makes you interpret every response, or lack of response, as confirmation of your worst fear. She's lost her footing, and she knows it. Be honest with me. Have you ever felt her energy change after you pulled back? Have you ever noticed that moment when the dynamic quietly reversed? When you stopped chasing and suddenly she became the one choosing her words more carefully? Tell me in the comments. I want to know what that moment felt like for you, because that moment is where everything shifts. That cautious reach back she makes is not manipulation. It's vulnerability disguised as something casual. It's a woman testing the water with her fingertips because she's terrified of being pulled under. She's not trying to control you anymore. She's trying to find out if there's still a door open, even a crack. And how you respond to that moment matters more than you think. But let me be clear about something. Not every woman reaches back. Some do, some don't. And what determines which path she takes has everything to do with what happens next inside her. This is the final emotional stage, and it's the one that reveals the most about who she really is. Because when a woman truly knows she's lost you, she arrives at a crossroads. And at that crossroads, only two things can happen. She either resets or she releases. Let me explain both, because they look completely different, and they come from completely different places inside her. Option 1. She resets. This happens when her feelings for you are deeper than her pride. When the attachment she has to you lives in a place that ego can't reach. When the connection you built together left marks that don't fade just because the dynamic changed. A woman who resets doesn't come back with drama. She doesn't come back with accusations or ultimatums or emotional explosions. She comes back softened, quieter, more open than she was before. And that openness is not weakness. It's one of the bravest things a woman can do. Because resetting means admitting to herself that she cares more than she wanted to. It means letting go of the pride that was protecting her. It means walking towards someone who might reject her and being willing to feel that rejection fully if it comes. When a woman resets, she respects your space. She doesn't flood you with attention. She doesn't try to fast-track things back to where they were. She invests calmly, consistently, without pressure. She lets her actions speak because she knows her words have lost weight. She becomes patient in a way she wasn't before, because losing you taught her something. It taught her that control is not connection, that influence is not intimacy, that the grip she once held was never as strong as she thought. And in that realization, something matures inside her, something real. A woman who resets after feeling genuine loss is showing you something rare. She's showing you that she's capable of growth, that she can feel the pain of consequences and choose to evolve instead of retreat. That's not common. And if you ever experience it, you should pay attention, because that's a woman who has done the internal work most people avoid. Now let me tell you about option 2. She releases. This happens when her pride is stronger than her attachment, when the wound of losing you becomes something she'd rather bury than face, when her ego tells her that going back means losing herself, and she believes it. A woman who releases doesn't do it loudly. There's no announcement, no final message, no dramatic goodbye. She just disappears. She stops watching your stories. She stops reacting to your posts. She stops reaching out in those small, cautious ways I described earlier. The thread that was still connecting you, that last thin, invisible line, she cuts it, quietly, deliberately, and she walks away without turning around. And here's what most men don't understand about this. When a woman releases, it's not because she stopped caring. It's because she decided that caring was costing her too much. She looked at the emotional price of holding on, the anxiety, the uncertainty, the loss of dignity, and she decided she couldn't afford it anymore. That's not cold. That's survival. Her nervous system made a decision. Her body said enough before her heart could argue. And once that decision is made, once a woman's system has fully released you, getting her back becomes almost impossible. Not because the love is gone, but because the safety is gone. And without safety, a woman cannot attach. She won't allow it. Her body won't let her. This is the part that changes everything for men who are listening carefully. Most men think that if a woman truly lost them, she'll panic. She'll chase. She'll crumble. But that's not how women process loss. Women internalize it. They take it inward. They sit with it in silence. They process it in conversations with their closest friends. in journal entries no one will ever read, in quiet moments alone where the grief finally surfaces, and by the time you see the external change, the internal work is already done. The moment you emotionally detached without anger, the dynamic between you changed. Not because you played a game, not because you used a strategy, but because you shifted the energy. And women are deeply attuned to energy, more than most men realize. When your energy says I'm no longer available, her system registers it immediately. Before her mind catches up, her body already knows. And that knowing is what triggers everything I've described. The end of testing, the politeness, the cautious reach back, the final choice between resetting and releasing. It all starts with energy. And it all ends with a silent decision she makes when you're not even in the room. Now I need to say something important. Because if you've been listening to everything I've described and your first thought is how do I use this to make her feel loss, then you've missed the entire point. The goal is not to make her feel loss. The goal is to stop fearing it yourself. Let me say that again because it matters. The goal is not to engineer her pain. The goal is to release your own fear, because when you stop fearing losing her, something fundamental changes inside you, and that change is what shifts everything. Think about what fear of loss actually does to a man. It makes him over-explain, over-apologize, over-pursue. It makes him shrink himself to fit into her expectations. It makes him abandon his own needs, his own standards, his own boundaries, just to keep her close. And the cruel irony is that every single one of those behaviors pushes her further away. Because a woman's nervous system is not drawn to desperation. It's drawn to groundedness, stillness, emotional sovereignty. When a man is centered in himself, when he's not performing or chasing or trying to prove something, a woman's system reads that as safety, as strength, as something she can trust. And when that man also has the quiet willingness to walk away if the relationship no longer serves him, not as a threat, not as a punishment, but as a genuine expression of self-respect, something shifts in her perception of him. He becomes someone she cannot afford to lose. Not because he manipulated her into feeling that way, but because he became someone of genuine value, to himself first, and then to her. This is the part that most content about female psychology gets wrong. It frames everything as strategy, as moves on a chessboard. Pull back here, go silent there, create distance to trigger her attachment system. But that approach is hollow. It's manipulation dressed up as wisdom. And women feel it. Maybe not immediately, but eventually, they feel the emptiness behind it. What actually works is not a technique. It's a transformation. When you stop building your emotional life around one person's response to you, when you stop measuring your worth by whether she texts back or watches your story or gives you attention, you become free. And freedom is the most attractive energy a man can carry, not arrogance, not coldness, not indifference, freedom. The kind that comes from knowing who you are without her reflection. The kind that comes from having a life that is full and meaningful regardless of whether she's in it. The kind that comes from doing the hard internal work of facing your own fears, your own wounds, your own patterns of attachment that keep you locked in cycles you didn't choose. When you do that work, something changes in every interaction you have. Not just with her, with everyone. You stop leaking energy. You stop seeking validation. You stop filling silence with anxiety. You become steady. And that steadiness is what women call presence. It's what makes a woman feel safe enough to be vulnerable. It's what makes her stop testing. Not because she lost you, but because she trusts you. Not because she's afraid, but because she's chosen. And that's the difference between a woman who stays because she fears losing you and a woman who stays because being with you feels like home. One is attachment born from anxiety. The other is connection born from safety. You want the second one. Trust me. So if she's gone quiet, if she's pulled back, if she's shifted into that polite, distant version of herself, the question isn't how do I get her back? The question is who am I without her? And can I be okay with the answer? Because when you can stand in that truth, when you can face the possibility of loss without crumbling, you become someone different, not someone harder, someone more whole, and from that wholeness, everything looks different. The way she behaves, the way you respond, the way the dynamic between you breathes and shifts and evolves. If she knows she lost you, the real question isn't about her anymore. The real question is this: did she lose you? Or did you finally find yourself? Sit with that. When things finally start making sense, when patterns become clear, come back to Lies Unmasked and tell me thank you. Subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.